Put him in the common clutch. I'll make him on the cream of the crop. The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Acknowledge me.
I figure the right thing to do was to let it settle before we said anything about it. No.
No, that's true. It's you gotta. I had to digest it first. I had to digest it really fast. I had to watch it really fast just to see it. But McMahon, Bad Blood. There's a lot to talk about, man. There's a lot to talk about today. So we got to stop by Mr. McMahon Boulevard on Netflix and talk about this, because my first thoughts on this were that there's nothing new. It's just it's the condensed version of the McMahon history timeline.
That DVD, yeah.
So it's just for us, we've known all these stories, but it's kind of put together in a 6-part episode series, and it was the self-destruction of the ultimate McMahon. It was the rise to the top and then his fall from grace or whatever. So
I don't even see it as a fall. This really felt like a gotcha doc to me. It really did. I mean, I've heard a lot of mixed reviews from other people. Some people are, it's just the facts. It's not just the facts.
Yeah.
I mean, especially at the beginning of every episode, you notice how they talked about how this was all filmed prior to the allegations and the dirty text messages.
Yeah. For Mr. McMahon, though, I've asked some people who don't watch pro wrestling, who didn't know anything about it. They just knew who Vince was, right? And they said they watched it. And for them, a lot of it was surprising to them. Like, they didn't know a lot of... they knew who he was, they knew what he was doing, but they didn't know how he got there, kind of a thing. So it was kind of like eye-opening to them, because they're not like Mark's like watching this all the time. They just know who Vince is. Like any other documentary on Netflix or whatever that you're watching. You don't know the person, but it looks intriguing enough to watch. In 6 episodes, about an hour each, 45 minutes-ish.
Yeah, some were a little longer, yeah.
So, I binged it, but, it's just, I don't know. I was kind of like multitasking while I was watching it, but at the same time, there was nothing new to really catch my attention. I love seeing the behind-the-scenes stuff and just the interviews of what's going on, but, I don't know. It wasn't too much.
I got some takes.
Yeah.
I do. Why do we watch Netflix? We watch it because we want to be entertained.
Yeah.
And we have friends who work, documentaries, and they always put like a certain skew towards it. You know what I mean? Like there's always an agenda. Okay. So a lot of the stuff is not necessarily factual. It could be spun a certain way. Things are always taken out of context. When you're doing that gotcha doc, and Netflix doesn't have the credibility with me when it comes to documentaries, because this is just entertainment, just like WWE. I also want to say this. We have accusations. They got to be taken seriously, right? These things need to be investigated. At the end of the day, they're still only accusations with some dirty text messages.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it like that.
Case ain't closed. Yeah,
it's not closed. You're innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is this could turn around right on them. Like, what's not to say that in a few months he is found not guilty? Okay, now you have this whole documentary painting him as guilty, and it's like, do you go back and fix that, or is it because they sat on this for a while too? Like, it's been they've been working on this for a few years, so it's almost like once these allegations came out, they're like, boom, that's our ending.
Yeah, really.
Like, let's just end it on this, and that's it. That's
like the thing about it is, we don't know the context of said text messages. I mean, these could be something that they always did, like just dirty talk.
Yeah.
Some people like, and I don't want to kink shame, this is really not my thing, but some people like that kind of talk. It couldn't even, maybe it's not even real. It could just be role playing. You don't know the context of this. So for them to sit here and do that until you have a trial, until he's, even found guilty or found innocent, I'm not judging him. I mean, do I think he's guilty of sin? Yes. Okay. Well, that being said, I think the motherfucker is guilty as sin.
All right.
But I don't have all the facts.
Yeah.
You don't have all the facts. Netflix does not have all the facts.
Sure. No, it's, that's the thing, is like, I was really interested in seeing the last episode. I think it really just built up to the last episode, and to see what happened to this documentary while these allegations came out, because they did pause filming or something, and then they invited him back, and he just never came back to finish however many interviews that he went through. And I think they went through, there's like even, I forget how many hours of
unused. I think they said it was like 200 hours that they recorded of this stuff.
So, I mean, I'm kind of interested to see the uncut of all these interviews.
I know. I want to
play that.
I want to see more Tony Atlas talking about Pat Patterson. He tried to touch my pecker.
Tony Atlas bringing the whole train down with him, man. Not only is he saying that we molested people or hurt people or did something to them, he's also saying that he himself was touched. But you know, you can't really talk to anybody when it's the booker that's doing it.
Did you report him to who?
He's
the booker.
You know, but I did say there wasn't a lot of new things that we learned. I mean, there was a lot of enjoyable stuff.
Yeah.
Dave Meltzer, I do have to ask you, who had more dye in their hair, Vince or Dave Meltzer, on that whole episode?
Oh, God.
Guys, man, you're old. It's all right. It's all right to show your age. You don't need to go back 20 years on that hair.
And back to those sleazy edits, right? Yeah. Or the lies, because the one thing that came out real quick was the part about Owen Hart.
Yep.
Where they were sitting there, they continued on the pay-per-view with his blood in the ring. And then I'm sitting there, I'm like, damn, the way you're wording that's crazy to me. I'm like, that made me feel a certain way because I felt dirty after watching all this. But then when the reports came out that was from the Brood on the pre-show, that wasn't Owen's blood, I'm like, here we go. Netflix, your credibility is shit.
No,
do your fact checking, dude.
That was honestly because I'm watching it and I'm like, did they really do that? And in my head, I'm like, I don't remember it at the time. And then in my head, I was like, oh, I didn't realize that was his. And so I didn't even look. I was thinking that was the truth, right? Where I didn't know it. I just thought at the time. And then to find out that it wasn't, like, come on, Netflix. You could have asked a few more people, like, what was that?
But it's, again, that's what I'm talking about. You slant these documentaries with a certain spin because you want to portray him a certain way. Because this is all leading up. You're making him look like a prick. Now, listen, Vince McMahon's definitely a prick. Okay? But, I mean, you don't need to, like, tune it all the way up to 10. I mean, you could just leave him at a strong 7.5, 8, right? You know what I mean?
No, I know. And there's a lot of stuff that they didn't really talk about, too, is like his whole upbringing, because there was a point, I believe, Vince didn't know his dad until he was 12.
Yeah.
So, like, when not having a father till you're 12, and then all of a sudden this guy comes out that it's your father, you're going to look up to this guy like anything, because you have always wanted a dad, and now he's your dad. Yeah. So, like, they didn't talk too much about his abuse as a kid too. I think he was abused, Vince, as a kid, and all this other stuff. So it really didn't get, because like when you see later on all the stuff he's dealing with his family, to where he's showing the same kind of tough love to his son, and he's wanting to do these kind of like weird segments with his daughter, like she's impregnated her, and I'm like,
Jesus.
It's at what point did Vince think like maybe it's too much? And it's like I was trying to think of it today. I'm trying to put myself back in the 90s and whatnot of when all this stuff was going on, and I'm like, it was on the rise of Jerry Springer. You know, like, oh, the fights on talk shows were cool. It was like a fight, and to show these kind of moments on TV, they were trying to go larger than life. Doesn't matter who
the
defended.
Howard Stern method, the whole thing. Because Russo was obsessed with like Howard Stern and all these arguments and all that shit.
Yeah, and it was one of those times to where, okay, you got to separate him on TV to him in real life, but then again, what, you know, like he said, do we really know the real Vince McMahon, right? So I do want to bring up some of the revelations though, because there was some stuff, like I said, when we watched it, I didn't really know about. Quick, I didn't even know Wendy Richter was screwed.
That one I knew.
At the time I never heard about it, or in my time, and then when the screw job happened, I feel like I heard about it, but I didn't like look back in time to see what happened.
I believe that they brought that up on the Vince DVD. That was the WWE production.
Yeah.
So I have heard that before. I mean, to me, that's old news. But yeah, that's
one thing is like I'm trying to put myself back in there. And,
right.
One thing too is Vince McMahon's father planned to sell WWE to Gorilla Monsoon. That was revealed that too before Vince like kind of stepped in a little bit.
That I didn't know. I do remember somebody. I'm going to say maybe it was Tony Atlas in one of his interviews talked about how Gorilla bought a portion of Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
After the fact. So I mean, maybe hey, if the plans fell through. You know, I was going to invest in something. Let me invest into a territory. Because, you know, that was probably outside of Vince's reach.
Yeah.
Which was, I mean, I don't know how successful it was, but I mean, hey.
I know. You know, even all the scandals I went through, like every kind of scandal you could go through. And I was also saying that how WWE TV nearly was canceled in the 90s during the steroid trial. To where if Vince was found guilty, USA Network was planning to cancel WWE altogether. So, like, if that would have happened back at the time when they were still in the beginning, early stages of, like, Raw.
Yeah, and the early part of the Monday Night Wars, too.
Steve Austin, that he doesn't believe in CTE long-term effects. He kind of expressed that, he's gone through it. He doesn't really feel it. He doesn't know the science behind it, but he doesn't believe in it.
It's not CTE, kid. It's just too many Steve Weisers.
So he's a tough Texan. I mean, regardless what you want to say, he doesn't, doesn't believe in it, doesn't know it, doesn't have it, doesn't whatever. So, I mean, people are coming down on him about that because they left that in the documentary.
Tell that to all these football players, dude. It's so bad.
No, for sure. The Pat Patterson allegations, everybody knew about it at one point. Tony Atlas accused Pat, of sexual harassment on there.
He accused him of touching his pecker.
Yeah, and he's also made previous claims of Patterson's innocence in the past scandals. So now he's saying that he was touched again. So I don't know. Is it just Tony Atlas?
Yeah, well, it didn't stop him from being on what was that, WWE house there?
Yeah,
you remember that?
Yeah.
Legends house, that's right.
I wish that still happened, man. They could still do it, but half that house is no longer with us, I think, so unfortunately. I did not know that. So also, too, Shane McMahon resents Vince's refusal to buy the UFC. I think he proposed buying the UFC when it was kind of struggling, but Vince rejected the idea, expressing doubts about its success. Could you imagine if Vince, that would have probably never taken off, right? No.
I don't know. I mean, it's a completely different product. And, Colon will sit here and tell this. He hates wrestling fans who think they know anything about mixed martial arts. I used to watch a lot back in the day. It's a completely different animal.
Yeah.
I mean, promoting it is very different. I mean, there are people who like to, do the work for the camera, your Conor McGregors, those kind of people. But at the end of the day, when these wrestling fans think that they know MMA, Vince might be right. I mean, in terms of that might not have been the right business for him, not to say that it wouldn't succeed. I think it's very strange that they're under the same banner. I mean, look what they did this weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, they put the WWE PLE on an hour early. So, and right at the end of the show, did you notice, UFC is coming on right now at ESPN or whatever the hell it was. I was just like, wow, that's super weird.
No, it's...
I think if anybody, Dana White was the right choice to keep that company going, because I think what he did... I think Vince could have done. I don't know if it would have been as successful, because I think as great as Vince is at marketing stars, I don't think he knew how to market actual fighters as opposed to these characters that he's created.
No, sure. So, what did you think, though, overall? I mean, you want to give it a rating or no? What did you think of the whole documentary as a whole?
Listen. I'm not rating this. I wasn't a fan of it. I didn't like it because, again, there are things that are left out. There are things that they don't, didn't bring up. You think when you're talking about WrestleMania, you think you would bring up the fact that he had Muhammad Ali on the card.
Yeah.
That's not mentioned in this documentary, which I think is super strange. Now, again, we all know these things because we've seen multiple TV shows. We've seen all these other documentaries. We're smart fans. We're marks. We know what the we're talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I didn't really like it. I'm giving it half a syringe.
Half a syringe. My goodness. Yeah. No, I mean, I don't think I'll ever watch it, really. I want it was like a one and done for me. There's nothing really to go back to.
Yeah. Except for that one clip that I keep playing.
The Tony Atlas.
I want everybody to know I've been playing Tony Atlas on a loop for the last half hour before recording this. I thought Credo was going to kill me.
I didn't like Pat because he kept grabbing my pecker in the locker room. What? He would grab my pecker.
It's in my head now. It's all over and over I hear is
Pecker.
In other news, if we should say, NXT just went over to the CW network. They opened in a lot. It was outside of their normal arena because I think they're doing construction at their other one. So for the past 2 weeks, they've had in bigger arenas or whatnot. So NXT's kind of getting a little spotlight on that. Raw finally down to 2 hours for the remainder of the year. And also AEW news, which I know you're excited about.
Oh.
AEW is now going to stream on Max following their new multi-year rights deal with Warner Brothers Discovery.
It makes it a little easier for me to watch because they're not on any of the other streamers. They're not on Hulu. It's hard for me to really watch that. No. But I mean, are the pay-per-views going to be on there?
So they haven't really said much about that, but they said it will probably cost extra, which no one's really paid for extra unless you have that UFC app where you had to pay. I don't know. Isn't there stuff where you're
Yeah, Cologne explained that to me. You have to have an ESPN account, and then there's like a subscription, and then the pay-per-views are extra. Like, but I think the subscription is for like the old library, like you have with the WWE Network.
Yeah.
And I could be wrong, so I'm not quoting this as fact, Dave.
No,
I'm still on that, bro. Still on that.
So, the financial terms of the deal were not disclosed, but this says, according to inside sources, the deal is valued at around $185 million a year. When all the elements are taken into account under the new deal, shows like Dynamite and Collision will remain on TBS and TNT. But for the first time since its launch in 2019, AEW programming will stream live on Max simultaneously for U.S. subscribers and will be available to stream on demand starting in January 2025.
Maybe they got a 3% boost.
Yeah, so I
It's
mean,
going right to Meltzer.
Before we get to Bad Blood, I do want to talk to you about Crown Jewel because during Bad Blood 2, it happened that Triple H introduced the new Crown Jewel Championship, an annual championship that's going to pit the men's and women's champions from SmackDown and Raw against each other in a one-on-one match. What did you think about this when you saw it? Because now I'm like, do these guys got to wear 2 belts now? Or
No. I think this is great for elevating the World Heavyweight title because you had that Universal title and the WWE title merged into one, and that went to SmackDown. And they brought the World Heavyweight title back. And it seems like less prestige. It seems like it's, the throwaway belt. It's the consolation prize. It's just the main title for that brand. And it sucks, because the people who have been working with that belt, like Rollins, like Priest, now Gunther, they've been doing a really good job. Now, if Gunther gets the win over here, that adds a little prestige to the heavyweight title, wouldn't you say? I mean, it makes it look on par with, hey, the World Heavyweight champ just beat the WWE champ. That belt might mean a little bit more now. So, I mean, I like it as a fact that second belt is going to be like the trophy that you win at the end of a tournament. Awesome. Adds prestige to the title. It could change every year. The WWE champ could win it next year, or maybe he'll win it this year. Who the hell knows? But it's a great thing. Again, I'm going to repeat myself, to add prestige to that heavyweight title, and I like it.
Well, Cody is Dusty Rhodes' son. Could we expect a Dusty finish in this kind of a match? To where does it have to be a clean finish?
I'm going to strangle you.
A Dusty finish.
Oh.
Your kids can look it up online. But, I mean, does this have to be, he has to put him clean to get that prestige up, or does it have to be, The Rock interfered and that's why I lost?
Doesn't matter if you win by an inch and a mile. Mm-hmm. Winning is winning. By hook, by crook. Don't care. Doesn't matter. But we're talking about Gunther.
Yeah.
He doesn't need the help.
Yeah.
He's going to chop that man down to size.
I don't see that. It's like I want Gunther to win, but I don't see them kind of like making their number one championship devalued in a way to where.
Why do you see?
I feel like that's the number one thing they're going to go after. Right?
I don't think so. I think the idea of this is to raise that prestige so that title is on par with the WWE title. Because if that's the case, whoever wins the Royal Rumble is always going to go for the WWE title.
Yep.
So what's the point? You're going to wonder, who's he choosing? No, I'm not going to. That's like, oh, I won the Rumble. I'm going to go for the WCW TV title. Like, no, I think this is a great idea. It adds a little intrigue. It means something. It's like the winner of the Royal Rumble gets a title shot.
Yep.
The winner of this match is the champ of 2024. I don't want to hear about Cody finishing his story. I'm tired of this shit. I'm over it.
Well, that's going to
your story, all right? Your story, Cody.
It's going to add quite the list to Gunther's resume for this year, let alone to where King of the Ring winner.
Yes.
World Championship winner, Saudi Arabia, or the Crown Jewel champion winner or whatever. So
all these secondary events mean something, though. That's what's the great part is, right? I mean, that King of the Ring, the winner, got a shot at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
Yeah. So, I mean, at first I was like, this kind of moves it away from Survivor Series, right? So Survivor Series doesn't have to be kind of like champion versus champion all the time. Or did they do that at Night of Champions, or they had like their own kind of matches? I forget.
I think they might have done it on both because I think they were trying to do like
supremacy.
Yeah, when it was like brand versus brand.
Yeah.
They may have. I don't remember. It's been so long, dude. We're old.
I know.
I don't remember. I'm not a Historian.
Gotta Google it. Hold
Ask
on.
Jim Cornette. He knows.
No, for
he
sure.
knows everything.
And so like
He really does.
He does. When I first saw it, though, when I first saw them bring it out, I was like, "Are we doing this again?" Because Braun Strowman won that championship, and once again, they kind of used it like as a one-time deal. He didn't really go around with
trophy,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's like it's like the Super Bowl trophy, right? Of the two champions of NFC championship, the AFC championship, and then you win the Super Bowl kind of thing. Granted, I wouldn't say the crown jewel is the Super Bowl, but all right. So I mean, something to look forward for the next thing, because that's going to be a busy November right there. That's at the beginning of November, and then at the end of November we got the Survivor Series. So one last thing, and then I want to talk some Bad Blood, because we watched this weekend at a former guest, Mike Shapiro's house. We went to his house. So
he did give me some notes. We do have a rating system.
Yeah, and we're gonna, somebody even acknowledged the tribal chief this weekend. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But real quick, without even spoiler alert, right? The Rock is back.
Yes.
My only question to you, without even getting into it, because he didn't do anything except for just appear and like he posed, right? So he hasn't really said anything yet about it from when we did this, but. Have the seeds been planted for The Rock versus Roman at WrestleMania? Because if you think about it, how could Roman team up with Cody? It's only been a few months after WrestleMania. How could he team with him? Like, why would he? Is that kind of like going to be the divide for that, or no? Am I thinking too far ahead into this?
Forget all that. Now we're going to finally figure out what the hell Rock put in Cody's hand tonight on WrestleMania. Like, that's the one thing. You could go that route. You could also say, hey, maybe The Rock was behind Solo becoming the tribal chief the whole time. Like, he's ever since WrestleMania, like, all right, we're moving in a different direction because the final boss said so, type of thing. Like, I don't know. That confused the hell out of me because I saw that social media clip. Yeah. He went on that rampage in the parking lot, just pointing at pictures. It's my boy Stone Cold. You see a picture of John Cena, go have some Fruity Pebbles. Like it was cool, but it didn't really tell me anything. I didn't know. It's always cool to see him, but we're at a point where like now we're really intrigued with the story, and you really gave us nothing. Yeah. So I was like, okay, we'll see what happens. Like I said, gotta be patient, bro. We gotta be patient.
And it's a long ways away from WrestleMania right now. Like we haven't even hit Crown Jewel. We got Survivor Series after that. And the Saturday night main event, I believe, is going to be a PLE now. I could be wrong, but on their schedule it says a PLE. So I don't know if they're going to be having that live in December too.
That would make sense, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be on. It'll be a PLE. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's going to run on NBC anyway.
Yeah, so
it might run on Peacock too.
There's a lot of things coming up, pretty much, right? So the road to WrestleMania is still long and far from here, but it's kind of interesting to see him now. Unless he is the owner, we're just going to get these kind of like random Rock events throughout the year until he really can't go anymore. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But let's talk Bad Blood, man. We drove out to Connecticut. We hung out at Shapiro's house. He had a spread, which I don't think we can actually show it.
Pause. Yes, that's right.
I don't know if we can. Maybe we could.
Well,
we could talk to the lawyers. I don't know if what we could get away for this, but there was a spread, all right. Yeah. A lot of great food, Mike. Thanks so much.
Yes. Well done, sir.
He kind of had themed it to like cards, I guess you could say, right? Collectible cards. He had.
We had the chicken tendies, and there was a card of Dominic Mysterio right in front of it.
That's right. Yep. We had some
CM Punk card in front of a bunch of Pepsis.
Yep. That's
that
right.
Kind of stuff.
That kind of stuff. Without getting too much even.
Yeah, we can leave it there.
So it's paying for the Patreon, which we don't have yet, but. You can see into this world of wrestling that we live. But let's talk about some of the biggest things that happened there, because the first and foremost, everybody we were kind of talking about was the Drew and Punk match, to where that went on first. And we were all like, all right, well, if that's going on first, what's going to happen at the end, right? So who are we going to get? And that didn't even measure to what I feel this should have probably been the last match if The Rock was just going to make a 5-second appearance. No?
Just going to disagree with you.
You want that to should be started?
I feel like the build up for the Bloodline storyline, it's got to be the main event. Sure. Because even if you don't have a Rock, I think that the fans, that's what really sold the show for me. Yeah. You've probably figured we were going to get Jimmy, or we were going to get somebody, or something was going to happen. I like the fact that they sandwiched, the two biggest matches, and they bookend the show, and everything else was kind of in the middle. So while the rest of the show was going on, you're waiting. You don't have to watch Nia Jax versus Bayley, because I know that's what you were really.
It's not even in the rundown. I don't.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
But no, it was a brutal match though, and it was once again.
Fantastic.
showing I don't know, when we compare WWE to AEW, it's what they do versus what they don't do, and it's like basic wrestling storytelling.
Yes.
A toolbox which could be found under the ring, a kendo stick, stairs, a ladder, table, regular stuff, right? Tools, right? But it was still brutal.
Yeah.
Got some blood going, got some 12 staples drew down or whatever in his head.
Yeah.
Every time I see a man, it looks like somebody poured some like fake blood on them, but that was it. They cracked their heads open really bad for it.
I mean, just like the way that Rock made wrestling cool again, CM Punk made Hell in a Cell cool again. And thank God, no red cage. That was the greatest part about that. Absolutely.
And I think, without talking too much about AEW, but how could you compare that kind of a cage match where they're using brutal stuff from syringes and whatever to this kind of a cage match where people are like, oh, there's still being blood. Where's all the...
Oh, they used a toolbox and a wrench.
I know. So it's like we're fighting...
There's a difference between a wrench and a syringe.
I know. It's for TV, and it's like, it's not just like who could do the craziest, wildest thing to put in your mouth or in your head. It's stupid.
How do you feel about the tribalism with that when it comes to the fans? They're like, oh, well, you guys are hypocrites because they use the toolbox. Ooh.
No, I know. It's people love following a team. They love getting behind a team. Like if you're a Yankees fan, you're a diehard Yankees fan, right? No matter who they play, you're always going to go for the Yankees. And that's what it's turned out with AEW and WWE. You get the people who just hated WWE that have clinged on to AEW and will ride that chariot into the sunset kind of a thing. So it's like, let's just enjoy it all. But this wasn't as crazy. It was actually, you could actually watch it, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they especially that one spot I love with Drew, suplex Punk through those tables.
Yep.
And the way he positioned himself and made sure Punk was all right, like turned a certain way before he went down. They went hard, but they protected each other, and I loved seeing that. Yeah.
No, it was an emotional rivalry because, I mean, I can't think of another feud that has lasted this long all year consecutively. Like, granted, Punk was out for injury. We talked about this before, but Drew kind of held it on, like calling him out every so often while he was home resting. And they kind of went back and forth until they finally had a match, and it's worked its way all the way to a Hell in a Cell. Like, that's what they have to do every year is, like, have these two guys tell this one story for the whole year and then end, like, whatever the feud is, have it end in Hell in a Cell, kind of like what they did, right? No.
So I'm going to grade this match. Shapiro sent me his ratings.
The rating.
He gave this 5 rolls of Dirty Dom TP.
5 rolls of Dirty Dom,
That's
which
correct.
you can buy on the WWE shop now, too. So 5.
The other thing I want to throw out there was we were, after that match, you see Tony Khan on Twitter talking about Collision.
Yeah.
Okay. The first comment underneath it. Do you remember?
We got to probably post it too so everybody else can see it.
Yeah. STFU, CM Punk just cooked.
Yeah.
Shut up, dude. Nobody cares about Collision. It's Hell in a Cell, bro.
Oh, man. But, Punk won after hitting McIntyre with a chain-wrapped knee.
That was cool.
And a GTS.
That was cool.
They used the Hell in a Cell properly, if you will, like for what it's meant for, right? Keep that violence all in the ring, and it was pure wrestling violence, right? Like there's no pieces, someone's broken down house, it's like it was like we don't have to get so crazy, guys. It's just a regular cage match, but
nobody needed an AIDS test after this match.
That's how you know it's a good match. But let's talk about too, because we're not going to go in order. I want to talk about the Roman Reigns return pretty much, and this whole Bloodline drama.
Okay.
This was Reigns' first match since WrestleMania 40, teaming with Cody Rhodes to defeat Solo and Jacob Fatu. What did you think of this one? Because
I love this match.
Main event worthy. That's what you said before. You said that it was in the right spot, right?
It was a nice slow pace at the beginning where they were doing all the in-ring psychology, all the tag-ins, tag-outs,
Yeah.
To the point where I was starting to get pissed off. You better start this match because now you're getting annoying. But like that just got me going and ready for this. I just couldn't wait, man.
Yep.
And man, I love the finish. And that's something that nobody talked about was, to me, the end when Cody's on that top rope and he gives Roman the salute. It's like, I'm kamikazing my ass right now. I'm taking Jacob out. You got to finish the job, bro, because here we go. It's all on you now, right? I've done my part. Now you got to do yours. And I love that. And then, you get a little bit of the new Bloodline coming in and the Jimmy super kick Jimmy, one move Jimmy.
One move Jimmy. That was pretty much his whole WrestleMania match. All the super kicks
You
in a row.
better stop, man.
No,
Jimmy's going to kick your ass one day.
Like, we were worried about Jimmy, right? So Jimmy's kind of been floating in catering, right? So, like, what do we do with him?
Doesn't look like he's been floating in catering. He looked like he lost some weight.
That is
dude.
true.
He looks in great shape, too.
No, yeah. And, his brother, Jay, the Intercontinental Champion, now Jimmy's kind of have to get him back up in the storyline. So I feel like teaming him, putting him back with Reigns as the face of, like, the face bloodline. Like, they're not heels anymore. So to see them maybe come together as a strong faction of family, whatever, it's going to be good to see. So the building up of the OG bloodline is happening. So overall, though, I mean, what did Mike get? What do you say for this whole rating match? Because it was pretty good.
4.25 rolls of Dirty Dom TP.
4.25 rolls of Dirty Dom.
Take that, Meltzer.
So what do you think? Yeah, we're gonna have we're gonna reinvent the rating system.
We're reinventing. We are innovators. God damn it.
Yes, but overall. Do you think this is going to build towards a Survivor Series War Games? We're going to have the old school because now
I think everybody assumes so. I think you have to at this point.
Yeah.
Who's going to be on whose team? Is it going to be a 4-on-4? Is it going to be a 5-on-5? Is Zilla going to make his way? Are we going to get an honorary Oos like
The Rock? Could The Rock join their team?
Yeah, right. So he could do the heel turn and
could he be like? Because everybody cheered him. I know he was a heel. He's a heel in this, right? Everybody hates him. He's the heel Rock, especially walking around with your People's Championship. Which, whatever, that's a whole other show.
So I can't wait for somebody to start making those memes that they did from that documentary. Remember?
Yes.
So this is what I did. I made Bad Blood awesome again.
Yes. It's definitely going to lead into a fun War Games. I think an OG Bloodline versus a new Bloodline or whatever, whether it's Cody or it can't be, whether it could be Cody or it could be a Rock. I don't know. It could be. We'll see what happens.
I think Cody's got his hands full after the whole Kevin Owens thing.
No, for sure.
And there's something that wasn't on the actual PLE. Kevin Owens attacking him backstage.
Letting the fans talk about it online, right? It wasn't shown on WWE.
No,
that's it, man. It's the little sneaky things like that are making their stuff. Making it. This is wrestling, right? This is wrestling.
It's still real to me, damn it.
So with The Rock returning, though, his returns add questions about his role heading into Survivor Series or the future WWE. Like I said before, is that we're a few months away from WrestleMania. It's a long road from here. So to see The Rock now, is he going to stay for that whole entire ride till WrestleMania, or is he going to come in for a little bit, and then finish out like a WrestleMania, or what?
He sips on his coffee.
He's taking little sips for his return.
He has a little sip here, a little sip there. He doesn't chug that whole thing down. Pause.
Well,
all right.
So besides what we thought about Bad Blood, some of the big matches, I want to get some of our take from our marks on our Facebook group. It's facebook.com/another wrestling group, just like the name, Another Wrestling Podcast. So let's read a little bit about what they had to say. Maybe you can kind of commentate on that, Cooter. Here we go. We got Tim, who says, it wasn't terrible. The Hell in a Cell match was incredible. The rest of the card felt like a loaded Monday night. As for the Bloodline story, hard to say. Need to phase Cody out of it. But by WrestleMania, I think we see a three-way dance for the title.
That's an interesting take. I could see that as a possibility. If they do that, maybe we do get like a CM Punk in a main event on a night one or something like that. That would be well deserved.
Yeah,
I think that's what. Respect you, Tim. I respect you.
All right. Well, Craig Glickman says it was an okay pay-per-view, but could have been better, and all the botches by Cole were hilarious, especially getting Rhodes and Graves' names mixed up. The Rock will be part-time as usual with a few appearances, he thinks.
I kind of like that, though.
Yeah, he said also the Crown Jewel title is a waste and just for publicity for the big money they're getting with this deal. Hopefully just a trophy at most, because, when you see it, you're like, are they going to have to carry this title now?
No, there's no
like a
way.
Crown Jewel title?
No, Craig, you got to calm down, buddy. It's just a trophy. But it is, like I said earlier, a way to elevate that other belt. So, you know what? You just sit back, watch, and then give your opinion.
That's right.
Yeah.
A good friend of the show, Anthony Jufra.
Oh, yes.
He's from the Sports Frenzy podcast. Under there, he's It's the good, the bad, and the encyclopedia. Over there, Anthony's been a part of the group for a while. He's telling us that Bad Blood was a good show, but definitely one of the worst ones this year. That's saying something because I think all the shows this year have been good to great. He suggested months ago on his podcast that he thinks Solo was being directed by The Rock and that it would lead to The Rock versus Roman at WrestleMania. I would hope Rock vs. Cody can be a straight one-on-one title match with no interference to help Cody get over, since he didn't have a clean win at WrestleMania XL, but he suspects it'll be used to set up Rock versus Roman. So
you didn't like that show? I love this show.
No, yeah.
I mean, there's 3 other matches we haven't talked about that I actually thought were pretty good.
Yeah.
Dude, we had 2 really good pieces of bread, you know?
Yeah.
We had a good sandwich.
Yep.
You know, that Subway bread, sometimes you don't have the best meat and cheese in the middle, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But listen, I think his thought on where this is leading to is fair.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like you said, The Rock isn't just like here too on a contract. Like he's part of the owners, whatever, on TKO. So like
he's on the board.
He's on the board, man. Right. So he's here for a while, I think. Especially after that Black Adam movie, kind of really did him in.
Hey, listen, stop on that movie. I actually like that movie a lot.
I did too. I love all DC stuff. Nobody knows.
Right.
So
except for the Joker too, right?
That could be in a weird world. I still like Joker too, but it's definitely up there.
Fix yourself a glass sandwich, Greedo.
It's a weird one. All right, well, let me get to a good friend of the show, Phil Limitone. Phil
Limit one.
Crown Jewel title is nothing but a money belt. Isn't Braun Strowman still the champion of that other title from another Saudi show from a few years ago?
The greatest Royal Rumble.
That's right.
No, it wasn't even it was just greatest Royal Rumble.
Yep. He says he's not a fan of WWE's involvement with Saudi Arabia, but money makes people do things, Cooter, if you didn't know that. He's intrigued to see how The Rock will be used after this latest return, and also what will happen after the Owens/Rhodes fight near the bus, like you mentioned too. A KO Rock connection, perhaps? That Hell in a Cell match was good. It was a good one. The rest of the show, meh, for some of the matches.
I am not a fan of when people crap on that relationship with Saudi. They're paying the company to come over there and put on shows. They're decent shows half the time. I mean, what did we have? Logan Paul versus Roman Reigns was the main event on one of those shows, and it was one of the best matches of the year. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care where the show is. I care about the show being good.
Yep.
It doesn't mean a thing to me. I mean, I think it's cool that they want to have their own little trophies and their own little things. Like, dude, if they're paying for it, why not? And it's a great way to add, intrigue to these storylines if used properly.
No, for sure. Mike Shapiro also chimed in. He says, with the Crown Jewel title, I've seen a lot of people really overreacting. We tend to forget at the end of the day, WWE is a business and they get a ton of money for these Saudi shows.
Thank you.
If they want to do their own version of Clash of Champions, I'm all for it. Definitely does not sound like it's anything to be defended during the year. It's kind of like being the King of the Ring winner, except you get a title and not a stupid crown.
Ooh, well played. Well played.
Well played, man. So, that's some of the comments we had from our group, facebook.com/another wrestling group. But there were some other matches on Bad Blood we could mention briefly.
Okay.
Briefly. Nia Jax versus Bayley.
I love this. I'm telling you,
I slept on it a little bit.
Of course you did. This is some of her best work ever. This is probably one of her best runs ever. Yeah. She's in control. All right, so you want to make the joke about the Hurricane Rana. At least she tried the like she's trying to do something different. It's
some miscues, yeah.
Dude, so what, bro? Like, dude, everybody messes up. It was still a good story. It was still a good match. I think they've set up something special between her and Tiffy. Yeah. I mean, I think that's going somewhere. I've actually enjoyed this feud. I mean, I'm sorry it wasn't a 5-syringe classic, but you know what? Unfortunately, Mike agrees with you. 2 rolls of Dirty Dom TP.
2 rolls, perfect.
But he also feels like Bayley is getting lost in this. It's not she's getting lost as the face, as he put it to me. I think she needs like a bit of a new identity. I think the Tiff cash-in would have helped a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't think you need it. I think they're teasing it for something else.
No, I don't know how long they want to drag this out because, like I said, I think last time is that Tiffany Stratton, she's kind of like on fire. Ever since they moved her up to the main roster, the fans love her. The fans get behind her, and then they put her into this angle with Nia Jax, and I feel like they kind of like. I'm sure she'll be fine. She's only like 27 or something like that, so she's got many years to make it or whatever, right? But I thought she was white hot at the time to where when she won the Money in the Bank, she could have cashed in the next night and been totally fine. Now they're kind of hinting that towards with Jax. We'll see when that happens. But I think we were more or less hoping that it was going to be sooner than later, and it's still it hasn't happened yet. So.
Okay, all right.
Damian Priest we talked about versus Finn Balor. They had strong chemistry between former tag team partners, with Priest winning after Judgment Day interference. What did you think of this match? I mean, was it an end-all, be-all for these guys or no?
I'm going to say it like this. I missed parts of this match because I was doing the job.
Yeah.
That was when, Reese Owen and I had a 5-star inch classic.
That's right.
When he was jumping on the couch and he jumped on my ball, so I was like, oh. Dude, I took the clean win. It is what it is. I mean, I took the clean loss.
Yeah.
I'm not a Damian Priest guy. I think he's great in the ring. I think he has a great look. I need more emotion and passion out of him because this low talking, monotone, you're like a Terminator. He doesn't really do it for me, and because of that, I can't really get into that storyline. I really wish Balor would have won this, quite honestly. And I know you want to, keep your faces elevated because you got Gunther is probably going to hold that belt for a while. And, you want a string of, good faces, to put up in front of him. But where does anybody from the Judgment Day go from here?
I know. Because, Balor came in, like I said, white hot when he made it to the main roster, being Universal Champion, setback, got injured, was out for a while, and ever since then, was never made another top tier world champion, if you will.
Yep.
And maybe that was partly Vince. Maybe Vince just didn't really care for him, but Triple H kind of brought him along. I mean, Triple H used him great in NXT. He was a star down there. Now,
and then he had that second run when they put him back and kind of repackaged him a little bit and made him.
And, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with him because he just re-signed too. So you figure out somebody who just re-signed for several years, maybe we could put more of a bigger spotlight on him since he's going to be here for a while. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with him.
Is this the end of the stable?
I don't know. Yeah, are we done with the Judgment Day? Do they need to, break from this?
I think they need, I'm wondering if you're going to have, we'll talk about her later, but I feel like they need another big guy.
Yeah.
Like they need the beef.
Yeah.
They lost Rhea, they lost Damian, and those were the guys who really kind of held it down. Like everybody had their part in that group, and you just don't have that one person who's going to kick everyone's ass.
Yep.
I mean, maybe a Bronson Reed. I'm just throwing ideas out there. It's fantasy booking at its finest. This is what we do. But I feel like they just need that.
No, yeah, it's something's missing. Something what could be fixed. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. But what did we get for this? What was the Mike Shapiro rating?
3 rolls of Dirty Dom TP.
3 rolls of Dirty Dom TP. All right, keep track at home. Write this down. All right, another great match. Well, it was a solid, pretty much match. It was Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan with Dominic Mysterio in a shark cage.
I cannot get enough of Dominic Mysterio. I don't know why, dude.
I'm curious because, first of all, I thought he was supposed to be above the ring. They had him in the aisleway, which now I know why, probably for the stunt or whatever. But
yes.
It threw me off, and then another thing that threw me off was that he was sitting down the whole time, which now we know he had it on his leg, and we couldn't see that he had the thing on his leg or whatever. But I get it, but it was just weird for him to be sitting down the whole time and not above the ring. That kind of threw me off with it. What are they going to do?
I don't know. I mean, I thought it was hilarious, and then when he got that door open, I'm like, ooh, okay, because they usually don't get. And it's funny because that ex-con Dom thing, he picked the lock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I love that just these little things that he does, and the way that they write for him is just chef's kiss when it comes to Dominic. All right, but we got to talk about some miscues here and a return, because all that stuff overshadowed what I thought was a great match between Rhea and Liv. Liv, let me tell you, that was some of the best work I've seen her do since she got back. Yeah. It looked like she might be on the way to like beating Rhea and doing it on her own. They made her look strong. And, you know, Rhea took over at the end, and that's when she went out to, you know, beat Dom's ass, with that little kendo stick. What the was that? A miscue? What the are we doing, Rhea?
Raquel,
what are we doing here? Like, I know you beat her in NXT, and, you know, that was the person who finally dethroned her over there. Did I miss something?
We did get the female version of Shawn Michaels and Diesel now, and they look like the Shawn Michaels Diesel. They got that kind of
who?
Raquel and Liv, if she's like her bodyguard in a way.
God's sakes!
It's got the HBK Diesel kind of esque thing they got going.
That was horrible, and thank God the ref, because from what somebody said was they messed up the finish.
Yeah.
She was supposed to come later. The ref saw her, you know, beating up on Rhea. Because I guess somebody said she was supposed to beat up Rhea, throw Liv on top of her, but the ref obviously saw it because he either came out too soon or did it like too blatantly.
Yeah.
So he had to DQ it. I'm glad they didn't insult our intelligence, for God's sakes. Like, seriously.
It's nice to call it what it happens on the spot, So, no, I mean, overall, what did you think of the match? What do we get in this one? What did Mike give this rating?
Mike gave this 3 rolls of Dirty Dom TP.
And the match that Dirty Dom is in, he gave him 3 rolls of Dirty Dom toy paper.
I'm going to be honest. If the finish and the at the end really took away from that match, like, to me, like, I think some of the work that they were doing was really good. I would have gave it 4 rolls, Mike. 4 rolls.
That little stunt at the end had me for a second, because, like, oh my, he fell, but the way they worked it out, that was a really good stunt. I'll tell you that. Like, not falling out and hitting the ground, like, which could have been really bad, but it was a pretty good stunt. It was a pretty good stunt.
You know what I just thought of?
What's that?
We this up.
Why is that?
The rolls of TP, like, you know how like 5 stars is good?
Yeah.
Right? 5 stars should be like a 1 star. Or 5 rolls of Dirty Dom TP should be a 1 star.
Yeah.
Because it was more and you need more TP.
Well, we can't change the rating system now, though. We have the whole rating system on the
show. You up, Dom. You up, Mike. You up.
Well, it's still, it's better than a syringe, I guess, this week. It's better than a star. I mean, who else is rating their shows with Dirty Dom toilet paper? I mean, maybe we'll get a free toilet paper in the mail now as a thank you, since it is on WWE Shop Zone. I don't know. Well, Cooter, the Bloodline, we saw Bad Blood. we witnessed Bad Blood in our own viewing party. We could have did a TikTok live and invited everybody inside the world of a viewing party with AWP.
We do have some footage. We might have to show Reese Owen. Reese Owen, that is the greatest up-and-coming mark.
Acknowledging his tribal chief?
Absolutely.
Reese, acknowledge your tribal chief! Yes!
That's it, man. I think everybody at home, you could acknowledge your tribal chief. Is that, are we acknowledging? The Ulafala.
Acknowledge me, bitches.
Well, everybody acknowledge the angry one.